So, oh yeah. So we're going to get into this. So we've been going through these quotes that the ruling elite have written down. What we don't understand, who is this ruling group of people that want us dead? Is it a secret society? Who are they? Well, a lot of people didn't realize, and I didn't realize this for a while myself, until I had heard about a specific book, which we will mention. Oh, we will mention it. All right. So, you start noticing that a lot of these people share the same last names, share the same physiognomy, and you think, wow, why do Russian communists have these dumb round glasses? They got these, they have this certain facial structure, which, trying to think. Gotta be, it's not even just for YouTube. We want to phrase this in the right way, because the fact of the matter is I started noticing these things, and once it was pointed out to me that they all had the same last name, I was like, wow, that's interesting. That's crazy. But you don't realize what that means until it took me years until I found out about their little holy book that they have that states blatantly their hatred for humanity. Like they always teach you, this group of people, they're so oppressed. There's, you have to love this group of people. They're the carries in the, what is it? The carry in the coal mine is the analogy they always bring up. It's actually the opposite. I think that we are the carries in the canary. They're the canaries in the coal mine. I actually think that's us. We're the ones trying to warn people about this stuff. We're probably going to be the first ones to go. But the fact of the matter is, everybody's going to go, and that's because this specific group of people actually hates humanity. They try to tell you that they're innocent and sweet, and people just don't like them, don't have any reason, they just don't like them. Why is that? No, that's not the case. This group of people, their supposed struggles in life, especially with societies, has been because this group of people think about themselves as a separate species like the ruling elite, and they actually are the ruling elite. Let's think about what the elite are. They are the Elites. El is the Sumerian god Saturn. The ruling elite, they always worship Saturn. Saturn is just another version of Satan, and Satan is also just another version of the Egyptian god Set. If you don't believe me, look into the Temple of Set. The, satanic pedo himself, Michael Aquino. Hopefully he doesn't get banned for mentioning him. But guess what? He worshipped Set. Why did he worship Set? Set was ancient Egypt's form of Satanism. It was a foreign group who invaded Egypt, the Hyksos. And that's what we're going to refer to them in this stream. The Hyksosian bloodline is the group of people that we're talking about. Get that in your head. It's the Hyksosian bloodline. They worshipped Set. And when their plan to make all of the Egyptians worship Set, who was the god of foreigners, by the way, he was an evil god. And he was the god of foreigners, enemies, not of the native people. He was a foreign entity, a virus from within, you could say. Well, once that they failed with that, they went undercover and they came back with the rule of Akhenaten. Akhenaten is where we get all this worship now. And I will argue, and people might disagree with me, and that's okay. The fact of the matter is, I think we're all in this fight together. Like, we all share the same enemy. We have to realize who wants us dead. Why do they want to get rid of us so badly? That's what I'm trying to explain to you. So if you don't like something I say, think about it in a way that, that you can more accept. There's other explanations you can come up with. The fact of the matter is, I want people to be together on this, but I do have to say, this is where we get the Old Testament from. And the Old Testament actually has some pretty bad things in it by itself. The the Torah, the Tanakh, the Bible, whatever you want to call it. The fact of the matter is, it gets a whole lot worse once you realize the Talmud exists. So this, I got some Talmud quotes for you. I probably should have put where I got them from in the Talmud, because I do have it listed. But I'm just going to read it for sake of presentation. I'll post the pictures to the Telegram. If I forget, remind me, but I'll post it to the Telegram group. So, if you want these, join the Telegram group for the Ministry of Truth, and I'll send you the pictures and where to find that in the Talmud. So, this one, they always try to read these as rabbinical teachings. Now, I just want people to know, if you read the actual Talmud, they always try to tell you, once you find out the Talmud exists, the whole excuse that the Hyksossian bloodline has for the nasty things the Talmud says is that's just one interpretation. If you read the Talmud, it's actually not that bad. But every time I read these particular passages, every other of these Hyksossian bloodline teachers, they always make the previous point even worse. Almost always. Like, the quotes I give are the main point of what they're saying. But usually if you read the entire page, it gets worse. So read it for yourself. Don't just believe people. And I'm going to change one of these words. It will be on screen. I'm going to change it to Hyksos. So every time I say this word, we're going to replace it with Hyksos, because this probably can't say on YouTube. So it always starts off with the sages taught, because they want you to, this is just a teaching, it's not necessarily, it's like a recommendation. We're not actually saying that this is how we live. It's a weaselly way. They write some nasty stuff in here, and you will see. This book describes the Hyksossians' hatred for humanity, this Hyksossian bloodline. And there's a whole lot of reasons why this group sees themselves as a separate group. But they actually view themselves as superior to you, while blaming you for viewing them as, they think of everybody who's not them as inferior. But then they try to make the claim that we see ourselves as superior and everybody else is inferior. It's a total inversion. This group has the superiority complex. So, a Hyksossian may circumcise a non-Hyksossian, I could probably say Gentile. Yeah, we'll say Gentile. Gentile means non-Hyksossian for the sake of this. A Hyksossian may circumcise a Gentile for the sake of making him a convert. This is to the exclusion of circumcising a Gentile for the sake of removing a worm, which is not permitted, as it's forbidden to heal a Gentile. Now, the reason why circumcision is a thing is it's actually a form of branding you as a slave. The Bible states this, and I probably should have included it, but I'm not going to lie, I had so much information, I was actually trying to cut it down to be more manageable for this presentation. So, I forgot to include it, but in the Bible, it's actually written. That's why circumcision is a thing. You are branding yourself as a slave. But if branding yourself as a slave would heal you, it's actually not permitted, because it's forbidden to heal a Gentile. So, yeah, even things that benefit them, if it benefits you, they don't want it. If it saves you, no, they want you dead. Even back then, they wanted you dead. They always wanted you dead, and they pretty openly say it. So, it is because Shmuel says that the property of a Gentile is like a desert, and anyone who takes possession of it has acquired it. Oh, wait, all right, so I do have it in some of this. This is Bava Batra 55a if you want to find it. I'll still try to post it to Telegram, but we do have some of them. I was smart sometimes. This is Bava Metzia 108. I see what it is. The folder that I saved these in, I used to do these a different way when I first started, and then I changed how I did it to include where it's at. So this is Bava Metzia 108b. It says, since the neighbor certainly prefers having a Hyksossian neighbor to having a Gentile neighbor, if a seller sold a field to a Gentile, the Gentile is certainly not bound by the command of, and you shall do that which is right and good in the eyes of the Lord. The Gentile is therefore under no obligation to refrain from purchasing this land. Nevertheless, we certainly excommunicate the one who sold it to the Gentile until he accepts upon himself responsibility for all damage resulting. So what they're trying to say is we're not held to the same standards. They actually, we deal with more suffering. They want us to suffer more. But what they're saying is we're not held to their standards because we are not one of them. And they're implying that we're not right and good in the eyes of the Lord. Now, this is a lesser in this state. There's worse statements. There is definitely worse. Here's one. Bava Metzia 114b. The Hyksossian people are called man, but Gentiles are not called man. The Hyksossian people are called man, but Gentiles are not called man. Yeah. Here's an interesting thing. Adam means man. You'll notice in the Bible, there actually were people around before Adam existed, but Adam means man, and whenever these Hyksossians translate man, they're talking about people of their species, not us, because they view themselves as better. What they're actually talking about, Adam was the start of this Hyksossian bloodline who was supposed to be raised by God to rule over the earth. Now this, yes, it's my interpretation, you could say. It's backed up by things. But the fact of the matter is, whether you agree with it or not, you don't have to think about it being my interpretation. Think about it as the way that these people interpret it. Even this, if this wasn't the original interpretation, a lot of these Hyksossian bloodline would interpret these things in that way. So if you're a Christian and you're trying to preserve your people and your religion and you want to hold on to that, that's fine. You can do that. But you have to realize how these people view it and how they view you. And the fact of the matter is they're not your friend. And they will probably try to stage things to trip you up. They might even try to bring Jesus back, per se, and say that he is their messianic figure, when in fact you're really worshiping the Antichrist. So think about that. The fact of the matter is you can interpret it different ways, but the facts stay the same. This group of people is insane. They're crazy.